All right, ladies and gentlemen. So there has been a ton of Resident Evil 9 leaks that are hitting the internet right now from a known leaker in the Resident Evil community. And these leaks are insane. Some of them are talking about gameplay, some of them are talking about story elements. But there are two major parts of the leaks that I want to go over in today's video. The first of which is apparently Resident Evil 9 is going to be the last numerical entry in the franchise. It seems as if they are trying to basically tie up all the loose ends with Resident Evil 9 from a narrative perspective. When it comes to Raccoon City and every major character that you know, they're trying to tie up all the loose ends because after Resident Evil 9, they're apparently going to be doing either spin-offs or taking the series in a new direction. So we're going to talk about that in this video, and we're also going to talk about the gameplay aspect, because I'm telling you right now, a lot of fans are going to be highly upset over this entire situation, because apparently Resident Evil Requiem is going to have combat like The Last of Us. I'm not kidding. It's going to be completely different, it seems, from what you're used to. So let's go over the story elements first, and then we're going to get into the combat. Insider Dust Golem has been on a roll lately, constantly providing players with details on everything Resident Evil. Recently, they revealed that Resident Evil Requiem gameplay details, which features supposedly Last of Us combat, which we're going to get over. But now the same insider have provided players with story details for Resident Evil 9. So I'm not going to go over too many of the supposed spoilers that are in it. If you're watching this is a spoiler alert, but again, I'm not going to go over too much of the spoilers. I want to focus on the fact that they are claiming that this is going to be the last Resident Evil numerical game. It's stated that Capcom will make Resident Evil Requiem the last numbered game in the franchise, and that Resident Evil 9 will not only be a conclusion chapter, but also a new beginning for Resident Evil as a whole. Moreover, it will be the end of the timeline and the conclusion of everything to do with Umbrella, Raccoon City, and its legacy and long history. This move will enable them to implement significant changes to the franchise. Now, this is where it gets very worrisome, right? As somebody who's a fan of Resident Evil, I wouldn't call myself an ultra mega fan, but I'm a pretty big fan of Resident Evil. I love Resident Evil. To see what they're doing, I don't know, it's a little bit worrisome. Because for me, I've already seen how they've tried desperately to keep the games numerical, but also change things. And it's drawn in some new fans, but it's also lost some of the old school fans, especially when they went first person with the 7th iteration of the game. Then they eventually ended up adding back third person in the 8th game and beyond. And now we know that third person is going to be in Resident Evil 9 as well. But they tried to go somewhere different with 7, and then they end up kind of coming back to what they're comfortable with, because let's be real, Capcom likes to put out things that they know that they're comfortable with. But in any case, Resident Evil Requiem will also serve as a conclusion to everything that began with Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2, and Resident Evil 0. The series will now introduce new characters, new type of horror stories, without being tied down by the series history. The team has faced several restrictions over the years, including tying all of the game elements to Umbrella, Raccoon City, and all other locations. So it seems like they want to tell a story within the Resident Evil universe that is not tied to the origin stories. They seemingly are having problems connecting all of it together. And while I can understand that might be a little bit difficult, at the end of the day, you guys created this entire story. You guys created this world that people have been enjoying for so many years now. You guys created this, and I give you props for at least trying to connect all the dots and make it all make sense. But if this is truly too difficult for you, then I really don't know what to tell you other than, I guess, nuke the whole fucking thing, which it seems like that's what they're planning to do. Now, let's talk about the biggest issue with all of this, okay? It's not necessarily the end of the numerical franchise. It's more so about where they're going with the gameplay. I see a lot of people complaining about this now that these leaks are out there. Resident Evil Requiem apparently is going to have the Last of Us combat system, and it's also going to have vehicles as well. It was recently confirmed that we'll be seeing Resident Evil Requiem gameplay during the opening night live ceremony at Gamescom, which, by the way, there's a lot of things being set to be revealed at Gamescom, so stay tuned. Set to take place on August 19th. Even more recently, notable Resident Evil leaker Dusk Golem took to social media to uncover a series of tidbits regarding the next major release in the legendary franchise. But in a series of posts, Dusk Golem claimed that the new Lightning and Shadow engines have been implemented, an AI system is unique and intelligent, and some open-level areas in Raccoon City will require a vehicle to traverse them. They, in a series of posts on social media, here's what he says: the following. Right now, officially, they've talked about you, as you mentioned, the ability to switch between first and third person on the fly, and basically designing two different games alongside each other to accomplish this, as to require big retooling to work with both. The new lighting and shadow engine, hair engine from Pragmata, and additionally, we know that the Stalker uses a new dynamic AI system that they've done to behave uniquely and intelligently on the fly. There's few other innovations, some I know, but also sure I don't know all of them. A small handful I don't mind sharing is that they've been working hard to achieve having good performance on open level design areas like Raccoon City, along with a vehicle to traverse around it. The combat with Leon has seen huge innovations, honestly, some of Last of Us Part 2 isms, but also its own innovation. So keep in mind, guys, when it comes to Capcom and their engine is notorious for not being able to handle open world type of situations. This is why Monster Hunter Wilds had such a bad time, because even though Monster Hunter Wilds wasn't technically an open world video game, the way they designed the game was to try to make it as seamless looking as possible in between loading zones. So this game, and a lot of games like it, they run bad whenever they try to do open world with their engines. So unless they fix that and they make it better, we might end up having a similar situation where we're going to have lag. We're going to have a lot of crashing. We're going to have bugs, especially on the PC platform. I can't see how this is not going to be a thing, unfortunately. Now, in terms of the combat, I don't even know where to even begin with the combat, to be honest with you. I can't imagine a Resident Evil where you're playing as if it's like The Last of Us. I guess it could work, I suppose, but I think a lot of diehard fans are going to be heavily upset about this. There's been an effort to provide more environmental physics systems and interactivity for Grace's segments, where she has to work with the environment and more, and balance light and darkness, and more I won't say, and sure, more I don't know, but they have a lot more to reveal. So again, guys, this entire situation is unfortunate for the diehard fans. I think at this point, if they do end up going with a little more of an open world Resident Evil, I don't know if this is the right way to go with the franchise. And if it is, I probably would have waited until you completed the series. I feel like if this is the last numerical Resident Evil, if this is truly the last one, and they're not going to make it to 10, and then number 9 is the last one that's going to come out in terms of numerical continuing the story, then they should have just completed the series, complete it as it has been, and then once it's done and all the story elements are tied up, then with the next version of whatever the hell you do, then you can do whatever you want at that point. But if people are looking at a Resident Evil 9, that they're going to expect that it continues what they've gotten used to in the past already. But maybe with 7, they probably brought in so many new fans that they think people won't care. I'm really not sure. So you guys can let me know in the comments down below. What do you think about all this revelation when it comes to Resident Evil Requiem? There are some more spoilers. There are story spoilers that he's put out there that I don't want to fully go over. So if you guys want that, I'll link it in the description box below so you can go check it out for yourself. But let me know what you think in the comments down below of what they're potentially doing with Resident Evil Requiem. And if you're looking forward to it or not, doesn't matter. Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider hitting that like and subscribe. And I will see you guys on the next one.